Hello everyone, this is CounterYolo Gaming, bringing you another video talking about survivability in Star Trek Online. And this video is going to be a little bit different in that I'll be doing a first of 5-part series going over beam tanks in Star Trek Online. Going over what, in my opinion, is the 5 different types of tiers for tanks inside of the game, which will make a little bit more sense as we go through in this video. In this video, will be kind of an intro to this list as well as going over budget tanks, one of the tiers inside of it that doesn't take really that much time to cover. However, when I was trying to time this out, going over all 5 tiers took me over an hour. So, especially with the analytics for YouTube right now, and that most of you watch between 7 and 8 minutes, an hour-long video probably wouldn't do you much good and would kind of just make me go crazy. So, for everyone's sanity, I'm going to be just making these really brief, at least more brief anyway, and in 5 different parts. Now in this video I'll be covering the attributes of strong beam tanks that I kind of looked through when I was making this list. I will briefly go over the 5 categories and what those mean, and then I'll dive into budget tanks. As I've been alluding to, there's an Excel document attached to this video that if you follow the link, you'll go to a Google Spreadsheets document online. And in the document, I have the relative explanations for the attributes of these strong beam tanks there as well. And alongside that, I also have the list for all 5 categories of tanks. Virtually every single tank inside of the game that I felt personally was noteworthy to mention that had command attract fire in the ship. There definitely are other ways I could have gone about it, but that seemed like the most reasonable way for me to do it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this anyway. Here are the attributes for strong beam tanks that I considered. Now first off, I gotta go into cruiser commands. For PvE combat, command attract fire is definitely the best one if you're wanting to tank there. Because of this aspect right here, most of your Klingon ships in the game do not have the ability to really tank very well inside the game. Most of your Klingon cruisers are actually battle cruisers, and battle cruisers unfortunately do not have command attract fire as one of their cruiser command abilities. They have the other 3, but not command attract fire. But for PvP, a lot of their ships will be just fine, but I just didn't include them just because I wanted to make command attract fire kind of one of the biggest foci in terms of why I included certain ships and not others. Another aspect we have to look at is it a 5-3 weapon configuration, or is it the standard 4 weapons in the front and 4 in the rear? If you have 5 in the front, 3 in the rear, you have a lot more weapon flexibility as to whether you want a broadside tank or whether you want to have the 250 arc full range, full DPS, easier to execute tanking, which is what I personally prefer, but it's totally up to you all as well. Next point is hull and shield ratios. In my personal experience inside of the game, these are the thresholds that make or break a high-end tank. Like, does it have at least a 1.25 hull ratio? Does it have at least a 1.1 shield ratio? If it has yes or both of those, it's going to be a decently strong ship in general. Because those ratios affect not only your overall top capacity for your hull and your shields, but also affects the ratios for your base regeneration rates for your ship too. Next point is, does a ship have a Lieutenant Commander Science or a Lieutenant Commander Universal slot that you can make into a Lieutenant Commander Science? This is really crucial because it allows you to give a lot of spike damage early that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. Technically, your cloaking ships will be able to get this too, but a lot of times in battle, especially ones that are very long, you're able to get this spike damage again and again and again throughout the fight. That unless your ship happens to be a battle cloak, it will have a battle cloak ability, it's not going to be able to do that. Next point is turn rating. If your ship, tanking everybody's, does not have at least a 6 turn rate, do not, and I repeat, do not fly the ship. Ships really need at least a 6 in order to be semi-okay at even broadside tanking. For me, if it has at least an 8 turn rate, it's gonna be fairly manageable and decently easy in order to do broadsiding or the 250 arc beam tanking. The last point here is how many tactical consoles are actually on the ship. Since this could be a beam tank, it needs to have decently strong, consistent damage, which means it needs to have its tactical consoles full of stuff that amplifies the beam type that it's going to be doing. Having 3 at the minimum is what I would say is the minimum. More is definitely nicer. Simply because most energy types besides Polaron can't give you effective efficiency for amplifying that damage type in the universal consoles outside of tactical. Now for this next point, I'll be going into the categories of beam tanks inside of the game that I kind of invented on my own. This wasn't based on anything else inside or outside the game. This was just my personal. As I started going through every single tank that could work out as a beam tank, and also ones that worked as a science tank. These are the 5 categories that I kind of got to. And this first one is budget tanks, and these are the tanks that are affordable to everyone. Well, relatively affordable. These are ones that even if you don't get the energy cap increase from 15 million to 2 billion, you should still be able to afford these tanks inside the game, which I know for some of you is actually a super valuable category to have. And that's one I'll be going over today with the 2 tanks that I feel are the best in the budget category. Other categories include bulky tanks, which are the tanks that most of your GPS guys are going to refer you to because they don't know any better, which are tanks that naturally are going to have higher base stats than normal. Ships like your Logi Cheshire are definitely going to be in this category for sure. Next category is speedy tanks, which they sacrifice a bit of their bulkiness to have higher speed and turn rates on their ships. They're also ships that more likely are not to actually be able to have a lieutenant or lieutenant commander pilot seat as well, which can add to the additional speediness, higher defense, higher durability as a result. Fourth category is a category that I would recommend for most of you probably to take, which is battle tanks, which are ones that are very balanced in their overall bulkiness stats as well as their overall speed and turn rates. Basically, any ship in the battle tanks category can serve you very well as a strong end-game tank inside of the game right now. This last category is a super cool category. It's a super niche category as well, but for some of you that are Klingon or Romulan, you're probably going to want to veer towards this category because you're already going to be super aggressive, used to a lot of cloaks anyway. For those of you that Federation, there are some options in here as well. But these are tanks that are super unique in that they have both command attract fire as well as a battle cloak option on the ship. Now for most of these you do have to add the 3-piece consoles to it in order to have the battle cloak, but the fact that there are tanks at all in the game that have a battle cloak and a command attract fire option on the ship is super incredible. It adds a lot of different starship traits and things as another option for additional threat and durability inside a lot of advanced and elite queues inside of the game. Definitely the hardest one to execute though as well. But anyway, in this next time I'm going to go over the 2 ships that I think are most worthwhile for the budget end. This first one is the Mirror Universe Heavy Cruiser Retrofit. It is unfortunately only a tier 5 ship. You cannot get a T5U upgrade for this ship. Even if you buy one, you can't use it on the ship. However, the reason why this one is still okay. It has command attract fire. It is a 4-4 configuration, so you have to broadside with her, but alongside that, it does have a low hull and shield ratio. Because it doesn't have that T5U upgrade, it doesn't get a lot of the hull bonuses that your other ships do get. The shield ratio is also 1 instead of 1.1, so it suffers a little bit there as well. It does have a Lieutenant Commander Science, though, which is extremely valuable. It has an 8 base turn rating. Which is said, having 8 turn rating or higher means you don't have to really worry about turn rating. And it also has 3 tactical consoles innately part of the ship. So in terms of being able to do relatively okay DPS and threat and stuff, this one's okay. It's really down to that because it doesn't have a 5-3 configuration and because it has a lower hull, really, is why it doesn't work at the super high end. But like to getting through most of the missions inside the game, especially on a normal or advanced, and to doing a lot of your normal and your occasional advanced queues for space besides like Hive Onslaught, this ship will service you okay throughout the game. This is for Federation and Federation aligned Romulan captains. Only Klingon ships cannot access this ship, obviously. and the Klingon equivalent ship of this ship does not have command attract fire. So, however, there is one ship that is much better, that works for everyone, is able to be accessible to everyone, and that is the Voth Bastion flight deck cruiser. This ship is super awesome, especially at the high end, because first of all, it has command attract fire. It also has shield frequency remodulation, that I didn't mention here, but it has that one too. It does have a 4-4 configuration, which is unfortunate. However, it does have super insanely strong hull and shield ratios inside of the game. Both of them are much higher than my recommended minimums. It has over a 1.4 ratio hull rating, and it has a 1.2 shield rating instead of the minimum 1.1. So it is very strong at both those aspects as well. It also has a Lieutenant Commander Science Bridge Officer seat already, so you don't have to worry about that. And it unfortunately has a 6 base turn rating, but it's low, but because it's not lower than 6, it's still manageable. It also has 3 tactical consoles innately part of the ship as well. Additional bonuses to this ship, which makes this ship very strong. It has a free, and I repeat, a free T5U upgrade. It's not like other T5 ships that are upgradable that you have to buy the upgrade token. This ship has it built into the ship. You don't have to buy anything. You just click the yes, I want to upgrade the ship, and it will upgrade the ship. And its cruiser additional stuff for it, for the most part, enhances the ship overall. Also, additionally for the ship, it comes with a Voth console, which can only be equipped on Voth ships, but if this is your ship only once you're going to buy this console, is a pretty good survival console as well. I would say overall this is like a slightly lower tier of something like the DP ARM console. Also, if you don't do the budget end, if you decide you want to use this as your endgame ship and decide to buy the lobby Voth ship off of the exchange, or use lobby to buy that ship and get the ultra rare drop from Phoenix Lockbox to get the other Voth Dreadnought Cruiser and add all those consoles to this ship, you'll end up getting a Voth Battle Cloak, which is a battle cloak which also increases your damage resistance rating whenever you're going into and out of the cloak. So in essence, it's a battle cloak that you don't have to think about whenever you're using. You can be like, I want to use a battle cloak right now. You don't have to think, is the enemy going to punish me really hard for going into my cloak right now? That you can just use whenever you feel it's most optimal to use the battle cloak for the additional for the additional damage for a little bit later on. Also, because some of you really like fighters for some reason, it also has fighters too. Okay, so let's go into the TLDW. First off, once again, there's a link to the Excel document in the description that goes to my Google spreadsheet that I've made for everyone to see, as well as this channel, that anyone can access, not edit, but anyone can access, and see all 5 tiers of tanking ships in the game and my personal rankings for them. It's super nice. I spent a lot of time getting that list for you all. Hopefully you all enjoy it. To the left is the attributes of strong beam tanks that you want to look for if you're wanting a strong tank. Of course, I also did that work for you in the Excel document, but if you want to look at stuff yourself, first off, you want to look at cruiser commands. You want command attract fire if you're doing PvE tanking. If you're going for PvP tanking, you want shield frequency remodulation. For your weapon configuration, the 5-3 configuration is the best overall. However, if you're okay with 4 in the front and 4 in the rear for broadside tanking, that one's okay as well. It's just less versatile overall. And then you have to turn after you use a CounterYolo, which ideally have on your ship as well. For hull and shield ratios, the bare minimums that I recommend is a 1.25 hull ratio and a 1.1 shield ratio. Enough said there. And also additional for your bridge officer seating, you ideally want a Lieutenant Commander Science or a Lieutenant Commander Universal that you can turn into a Lieutenant Commander Science, because Gravity Well is super nice to have with regeneration overall. For your turn rating, you need at least a 6 turn rating, otherwise there's no point in using the ship at all, because you won't be able to even broadside effectively with something lower than a 6 turn rating. 8+ is preferred though. And also for tactical consoles, you need at least 3 of them in order to be able to be an okay beam tank. Again, the other things I covered in this video is that the best tanks in the game that are under 15 million credits, or what I also call the budget tanks in the game, are at number 2, the Mirror Universe Heavy Cruiser Retrofit. It's just a tier 5 ship. It's not a T5U. However, this ship is extremely cheap in that frequently on the exchange, it's barely ever over like 1.2 million energy credits, which is really, really cheap. The Voth Bastion Flight Deck Cruiser is definitely number 1. It's definitely in my top 10 of best tanks in the entire game. So the fact that it's even in the budget list already says something about how good this ship actually is, and how most people in the game view this ship because they don't realize how strong it actually is. Unfortunately, after I make videos like this one, if enough people see it, they might modify the pricing. It might go above the 15 million, which would be unfortunate, but it would make sense. Voth Bastion has a free T5U upgrade. In terms of its raw stats, it's right up there with most of your T6 tank ships inside the game as well, and follows just about everything that's listed over for attributes for strong beam tanks besides the turn rating. Alright, so that's basically all of it for now. Please like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, feel free to dislike it. Totally fine by me. If you want to see more videos like this one, or just like my channel in general, please subscribe. It definitely helps me to know if the channel is growing or not. Just because I've had a bit of a break, and so YouTube doesn't like me right now. And so yeah, there's that for now. Hopefully, if I can get the pictures to pop up correctly, on the left will be my old classic survivability guide that I made all the way back in May, right before Victory's Life. Even though some of the numbers are wrong and some of the numbers are inaccurate now, a lot of the basic things I go over in each video will still be okay and are still serviceable even today post of the Victory's Life expansion. To the right, well, if I can figure out the annotation stuff, will hopefully be some other cool video that I have on my channel as well. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.